Every civilization remembers a beginning. But what if those beginnings were never myths at all? From the ancient Sumerians to the Zoroastrians, from Gnostic scrolls to the Book of Genesis, they all whisper of a perfect realm, a forbidden tree, and a voice that led us to fall. But some say, we didn't fall. We were cast out, exiled. And the truth was sealed behind a gate that still hums with ancient memory. Welcome to the Garden and the First Deception. Long before religion had names, there were stories. And across oceans of time, civilizations that never met still told the same tale. A perfect garden, a divine presence, and a fall. In ancient Sumer, the city of Eridu was once called Dilmun, a sacred garden where sickness did not exist and the gods walked beside man. The Babylonian tablets speak of a man named Adapa, granted knowledge but denied immortality. Zoroastrians told of Aryan Vizai, the first paradise, a luminous realm before corruption crept in. And the Greeks, they called it Hyperborea or Elysium, realms of light, where heroes live without pain. Even in Celtic lore, there was Avalon, the Isle of Apples, guarded by veils, accessible only through faith. Different tongues, different names, but always the same architecture. An untouched realm, a temptation, a loss. How is it these stories echo the same spine? Every myth has a creator or divine counsel, a crafted human being shaped from clay or divine essence, a perfect realm, often hidden or dimensional, a forbidden act, a fall or exile, and a deceiver. But here's the twist. In each version, the deceiver changes shape. Sometimes he's a trickster, sometimes a serpent, sometimes an angel fallen in light. And in all these stories, it isn't brute force that casts man down. It's a whisper, a suggestion, a question that shifts reality forever. What if all of this wasn't coincidence, but fragments of one primordial event shattered across languages and time? Among all the myths, one version remains untouched, preserved word for over 1,400 years. The Quranic account doesn't call the Garden Eden, it simply calls it Al-Jannah, the paradise. But what's more fascinating is where it places that garden. It wasn't on Earth, it was a higher dimension, a place beyond the veil, where time and physics do not function like they do here. The Quran tells us, "And we said, O Adam, dwell, you and your wife, in the garden and eat therefrom in ease and abundance, but do not approach this tree, lest you be among the wrongdoers." Surah Al-Baqarah 235. But here's where it diverges from other accounts. The Quran never names the tree, never calls it knowledge or immortality. And most importantly, the deceiver is not a serpent. He is Iblis, not an angel, but a being made of smokeless fire, of the Djinn, a rebel who refused to bow to Adam and vowed to destroy him through whisper and deceit. Adam was not created from nothing, but from clay, shaped by divine hands and infused with a soul. When I have fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down in prostration to him. Quran 15:29. In the Bible, God creates Adam from the dust. In the Sumerian Enuma Elish, man is made of blood and clay to serve the gods. In Egypt, the god Khnum molds humans on a potter's wheel. Always it is earth and breath, matter and spirit. But the Islamic view? It doesn't just create man, it sets him up for a cosmic test. The Quran doesn't describe Iblis as a horned devil. He's not chained in a pit. He walks, he whispers, he waits. He once stood among the angels, not as one of them, but high enough to be counted in their ranks. But when commanded to bow to Adam, he refused, saying, "I am better than him. You created me from fire and him from clay." Quran 7:12. And so he was cast out, but not exiled from the garden. No, He still had access. He approached Adam and his wife, not as a serpent, but as a whisper, a frequency, a thought. Then Satan whispered to them, so as to expose what had been hidden of their shame. Qur'an 7:20. There was no force, no physical fruit, only suggestion, and they listened. The tree remains a mystery. Unlike the Bible, the Quran never names it, only warns against it. Could it have been a symbol, a dimensional gateway, a code of divine law not meant to be breached? Kabbalists speak of two trees, the tree of life and the tree of death. Gnostics say eating from it gave true knowledge, stolen from jealous angels. And in the Sumerian tales, the sacred tree was guarded by serpents of wisdom, only accessed by the gods. What if this tree wasn't about morality, but about access? What if Adam and his wife touched what wasn't encoded for their realm, and their consciousness collapsed into physicality? The Quran doesn't say they fell, it says, "Descend from here, all of you." Quran 2:36. The word is ihibatu, descend, as in lower your frequency, move from a higher realm to a denser one. Christianity calls it the fall of man. Islam calls it a transition, from a dimension of light to a world of trial. In Gnostic tradition, the material world is a prison, created by the demiurge to trap divine light. In Zoroastrian cosmology, the world of matter is corrupted by Angra Mainyu, the evil force of deception. What if Earth wasn't created as our home, but our quarantine? When Adam and his wife were cast out, the garden wasn't destroyed. It was veiled, guarded, sealed behind unseen dimensions. In the Book of Enoch, angels guard the corners of paradise. In Sufi cosmology, the garden still exists, in a realm only the awakened may glimpse. Could dreams, déjà vu, or near-death visions be flickers of that original light? We were exiled, but we were not alone. Something else was watching. The veil had cracks, and beyond the edges of the world, ancient beings stirred, some in service and some in rebellion. They were called the Watchers, the Fallen Ones, the Djinn, and what they brought with them would shape the rise of kings, the fall of empires, and the forging of bloodlines. The garden was only the beginning. Next comes the war for heaven. In the next chapter, we'll unveil the ancient rebellion, the Watchers who descended, the covenants they broke, and the battle that still echoes through every throne and every war in our world today. Subscribe to Beyond the Known, because what's coming was buried for a reason, and you were meant to remember.